Hello and welcome back to SAFC Fan TV. The season is finished and Sunderland have just drawn 1-1 at home to Northampton Town. Before we get into reviewing the game, I just want to say a massive thank you to One Football. One Football provides you the latest news on everything football, goals, transfers, lineup, fixtures, even Michael Bauer style stats. If you want to know how players performed, how they're getting on, how the season's going, what it is in particular they're good at, stuff like that. It's an idea that if you're into your sports science and things, that would be a great app to see how players are performing and stuff like that. But even if not, it's great for quick updates, keeping yourself on, keeping yourself up to date on all the latest news. It is free to download. The link is in the description. And as I say, a massive thank you to One Football for sponsoring SAFC Fan TV. I would encourage any football fans, if you like, to go and download it. At least go take a look at it. Because, there's plenty of reasons to head over there. But anyway, lads, of course, 1-1 today. Jacob, I'll start with you. Quite a poor performance, I thought, throughout. I think we'll all be in agreement. Did we go into this game with the wrong mindset, maybe as if the game was just done before it was even played, thinking about the playoffs already?
Yeah, you got that impression, Jack, to be honest, as the game went on. To be honest, as the game went on today, it got worse and worse. And to be honest, I think the attitude just wasn't at it today. It just felt like the players, even at times, they didn't want to pick up injuries going into the two playoff games. There wasn't enough tempo to our game other than the first 10 minutes where we looked all right. But after that, it died down very quick. In the final third, lacked quality. Even the substitutes that came on didn't really change the game too much, to be honest. But now I think Lee Johnson will have a lot of thinking to do of what players he feels will have the right mindset going into that semi-final playoff against Lincoln over two legs.
I was thinking you've still got to go into this game in the mindset of winning because, the points weren't really important, but for me, it was more about getting 2 wins in a row. The feel-good factors back, the confidence is brewing. You go into the playoffs with a bit more momentum, and you're just a harder team to beat. That you've got a stronger mentality there. But I wasn't actually opposed, in all honesty, to not breaking our backs to win this game. It's difficult how to word it, but I think it's about managing the situation in terms of we've got playoffs coming up. This game in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean absolutely loads. A win only really meant momentum and confidence. 3 points wasn't massively important today. So I wouldn't have encouraged us, absolutely breaking our backs to go and get the win. Try 100%, of course. But I think in terms of giving players a bit of a rest, like McGeady only played a half. He came on for Jack Diamond at half-time, things like that. I wasn't too massively opposed to that. But Michael, do you think it was maybe actually not even that bad that today the effort wasn't, quite there 100%? Because really, we've got to think about the playoffs as well.
We do, but at the same time, with players who've come into the game today, should really have had the mindset of, in my opinion, should have had the mindset of, I want to get my way into Lee Johnson's thinking for the playoffs. And I can't think of many players today that actually potentially rubber stamped a place in that semi-final away at Lincoln, because obviously we've got 10 days, I think, between now and the playoff semi-final first leg. So, I don't think many players did themselves justice, if I'm being totally honest. I do get your point about not wanting to overexert themselves and risk getting injuries or suspensions. And on a human level, I kind of get that. I just would have wanted to see a bit more, though, because I still, for me, felt that side should have easily had enough to beat an already relegated team. And, I know people can like to go on the rants about the squad being good enough and all. I'm sorry, against Northampton, it should have been. I'm not having anyone tell us different. It should have been. I don't know. I'm just quite lethargic after that. I'm flat and apathetic now. The real games start, but one thing's for sure, we need to up our intensity levels and effort levels a lot more against someone like Lincoln. I'm not writing us off, by the way, and I think it's too premature to do that. But we need to play a lot better against Lincoln than we did against Northampton, that's for sure.
I think it depends on the context of the player in terms of what today meant. If you're a player who hasn't seen a lot of minutes this season, or maybe under Lee Johnson, like Chris Maguire, who I think probably did put himself about a bit when he came on, then you probably do want to look to cement your place and use this game as a way to, advertise yourself going into the playoffs to try and get some more minutes. But if you're a player who has played all season, is one of Johnson's favourites, the likes of your Scowens and Wykes and McGeady's, then maybe this game is one where you think, I don't want to get an injury because, we've had enough injuries this season. I mean, don't get us wrong, I'm not excusing the lack of effort, but I think in this one game alone, I can understand that, if we aren't going to, make every single press to a defender, if we aren't going to, run ourselves into the ground for every last ball.
Yeah.
Just for today and today only, really, because as much as a win will be important for momentum, we can't face any more injuries. I mean, we've had to play midfielders at defence. We've had to play a lot of this season with McFadzean at left back and O'Nien, who we signed as a centre midfielder / number 10 at centre back. Max Powers had to fill in at both right back and centre back loads. So I think one of the most important things today was getting through it. And as much as the performance was rubbish and the result is pathetic, we've got through it unscathed. And if we can put it right against Lincoln, which after the performance today, maybe I'm not 100% confident we will. That's it. Forgotten about, really. I mean, Mike, I can see you wanting in a game before I move on.
I would point out that the playoffs are a completely different lottery, to be fair, for what goes on here. And while people can be very quick to write us off, Lincoln, the last 3 games, I think, have lost 1 and drawn 2. So technically, over the last 3 games, we've had better form, even though it doesn't feel like it. I think in these semi-final games coming up, yeah, I've got to say, I would be disappointed not to get the final, if I'm being brutally honest. I think that Sunderland, I don't know. I just feel Sunderland can perform a lot better than they did today. And I know, again, everyone likes to go on about squad's not good enough. Well, it's better than that, in my opinion. It's better than what we saw today. And I do kind of get on, like I said, I get on a human level. You don't want to get yourself injured ahead of the playoffs, because that was the last things we needed.
It's not from like a selfish perspective of I don't want to get injured. It's that.
No, I'm not saying it is from a selfish perspective. I'm saying I get what you mean by it. I just think that I just felt we could have gone, even if we weren't playing 100%, I think we could have still gone another gear. I do get your point. Obviously, of the games we had left, this game was by far the least significant and the least meaningful. But I'd like to think we'll play with a lot more intensity in the playoffs. If we don't, then serious questions have got to be asked.
I mean, if we play that against Lincoln, we've got absolutely no chance in hell of getting to the final, of course. But I mean, looking at the goals in particular, I mean, their goal, Mike, I'll go to you first. Could anyone really be at fault? I don't think Lee Burge could have done much about that, to be fair.
Lee Burge couldn't have done. It was a deflection that wrong-footed him. Obviously, I'm not happy that Bristol, like Jacob said in live stream, Bristol Rovers at the end of March is the last time we've kept a clean sheet, which we need to sort out ahead of the playoff. And I'm going to keep saying it until we start keeping clean sheets again. We have to sort that out. If we don't keep clean sheets in the playoffs, it's going to make it 10 times harder for us to go up. And by the way, I will point out, just because we may or may not think we're going to win the playoffs, we can't afford to write the season off. We can't afford to. We can't afford to write the playoffs off. You've got an opportunity to go up. I suggest those players go and take it. Whether they will or not is a different matter.
Yeah, Jake, I could see you were not in agreement there. But just on our goal, I mean, Jordan Jones slightly overhit the cross, I think. But, he's a League One player. These things happen. You can't expect every cross to go in perfectly. Yeah. But aside from that, we didn't really create anything at all for the entire game. I mean, I can't think of any real chances were created.
Nah, I mean, I think Max Power has a shot that just went wide in the first half. And in the second half, to be honest, I can't remember their keeper really having much to do, to be honest with you. I mean, I know it was that dangerous cross from Jordan Jones that hit the post twice, and then Carl Winchester, right place, right time to tap it in. But other than that, there was nothing really in the game, to be honest. And a draw, to be honest, I would say was a fair result. It was a drab game, but the tempo and the momentum needs to change going into the playoff games now. But I think looking at it, we've got a week off now, and we just have to be at the academy of like putting in decent shifts and really in the minds of the players proving a point to the manager, saying that I can really make a difference in the starting lineup for that first leg at Sincil Bank. Whether they get a place or not, it's all down to Lee Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, of course, our playoff opponents confirmed the day it was Lincoln. We do play them away and then at home, 10,000 fans in the Stadium of Light. I believe, fingers crossed, hopefully, if everything goes well, if the safety procedures can be put in place, I believe. I can't see any reason why not in for that second leg. But I mean, Lincoln, we've had a decent record against them so far this season. I remember we beat them 4-0 away. Was that was it one of Lee Johnson's very first games? His second game in charge, I think. Yeah, and of course, we beat them actually in the semi-final of the Papa John's Trophy. So we've already beat them in the semi-final. Of course, it was on penalties. Beat them 4-0 early in the season. We've got a good record against them so far this season. And of course, we have got that massive factor. Some of it might say it's a disadvantage. I think it's a huge advantage. And I personally really hope I'm one of the 10,000. I do have a season ticket, so I hope I'm one of the 10,000.
You should get priority, like I have to say. Everyone who's had season tickets, I think, should get first priority for that semi-final.
I mean, it's a massive factor, isn't it? But I mean, all those things considered, is this probably the perfect setup, actually, linking and actually having fans in for the home game, Michael?
I'd say so. I think I know there's been a few people. I know there's people. Someone was having a debate with us on social media about that. I actually think having the home game second could, I stress could, not definitely, but it could or should be a positive. It should be a positive because if you have 10,000 fans in that ground for that second leg, that's the game where it's statistically decided who is going to get to the final. I'm not saying, obviously it depends what happens at Sincil Bank, but I think having the second leg at home, if we have fans, I think there's a big difference between having 10,000 Sunderland fans in the ground cheering you on as opposed to having an empty stadium where, while I don't think it excuses it from the players, it must be harder to try and psychologically or subconsciously get yourself amped up for the games when the fans aren't there. And I actually think that we need to make sure we're the 12th man at the stadium. Like, obviously, Lincoln will have fans at Sincil Bank. I would imagine they would for the first leg. But for that second leg being at home, it could be an advantage for us, and it should be, if we're being brutally honest.
Yeah, personally, I can't wait. I really hope I'm in there. But Jacob, we've got Lincoln out of the other teams in there in the playoffs. Like I say, a decent record against them so far this season. Not very good, really. And of course, that all-important fact of 10,000 fans. Just how happy are you that we've got them, or is there any other way you would have rather it went?
To be honest, at the end of the day, Jack, I really didn't mind who we were going to get. Listen, and it turns out it's Lincoln now. They stand in our way. Listen, we've already beaten them in a semi-final already this season. There's no reason why we can't do it again. But this one's going to be tougher, I would say. I mean, they have got decent players on their day. George Grant, Anthony Scully, who was left on the bench for their 0-0 draw against Wimbledon today. I think it's taking it. I think Michael Appleton, their manager, will be the main reason he's done that. I think he'll be resting him for the first leg against us. So, and also ex-Sunderland man Liam Brigcutt as well, being a decent player since he signed for Lincoln, even though he didn't do much for us, to be honest, under the Gus Poyet days. So, will be a hard game. It's all about what we do at the end of the day. I'm not fussed at all about the tactics that Lincoln will want to apply in that first leg and also the second leg as well. It's sticking to our game plan. And listen, we have the quality to get through over 2 legs against Lincoln City, but it's just about how badly the players want it.
Yeah, and hopefully we do see an improved performance from today, because I think we're all agreeing that today was awful. But I think it maybe comes from a place of the context of the game. You know, it's the last game. And I'm not excusing, I'm not saying it's the right thing to not put any effort in. But when you've got to consider things like how many injuries we've already had, suspensions throughout the season as well. I think we
do have bigger games coming up, don't we?
We've got bigger fish to fry, and hopefully going into Lincoln, things are picked up a lot more, and we can match them. But if we play like we did today against them, we can guarantee we aren't going to Wembley. But anyway, we're going to leave that there, lads. There'll be no Sunday Punch tonight, but there will be some fan reactions going up on the channel as well, if not already up. Again, I want to say a massive thank you to One Football for sponsoring the channel. I want to say thank you to everyone who's watched. From yourself, Jack Dodds, from Jito Kirkbride, from Michael Bowes, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you later. Take care, bye-bye.